and I have known each other for many, many years, and I've gotten to know what a great guy you are and what a wonderful company that Alkit is. But just in case some of our participants haven't had that opportunity, they don't know you, why don't you give me just a 60-second overview of who Alkit is, who are you in the Alkit family, how the family has progressed it, and kind of who do you serve as a photo lab?
Sure. First, thanks, Mitchell, for having me to this Zoom meeting. It is an absolute privilege to chat with you. I think the absolute world of you, and our industry is beyond fortunate to have you. So thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is David Buchbinder. I'm one of the owners of Alkit Lab. We're a professional national lab based in New York, and we serve primarily volume photographers. We're a third-generation family business. Grandma and Grandpa started our business back in 1936. My grandmother, Kitty, she was with us just up until 4 years ago. She passed just shy of her 107th birthday. Also, the name Alkit comes from my grandfather's name was Alfred, grandmother's name was Kitty, and then we have Alkit. We started as a wedding bar mitzvah portrait lab, and then I guess about 18 years ago, I kind of saw that the printing was going to decline very rapidly. So we made a major pivot. We still serve the wedding bar mitzvah portrait lab today, but if that was the only market that we serve today, probably wouldn't be having this Zoom meeting with you today.
Yeah.
So we shifted into the volume world, and thankfully we did, and here we are today.
Very cool. Cool. Well, it's always kind of cool to see how things come together, and names of companies that we never really think about, like Adidas is Adi Dassler, and all these different things, that's what that means. So, I always enjoy, Alfred and Kitty and bringing that together as Alkit. So, but you're not alone in Alkit within the family. So it's you and Stephen. And any other family members part of the organization there?
No more family members. I have a sister, Hildy. She was in the business back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And Hildy handled our marketing and advertising. Now it's just myself and my partner, Stephen. Fortunately, we get along incredibly well. I hear about all sorts of stories with family-run businesses and dynamics. So we are extremely fortunate that we get along.
But I've got to ask you. I've got to ask here. So you are the face of Alkit, and we'll just let everybody know kind of what Stephen does. Running the office, the customer service side of things, the invoicing. You'll interact with Stephen as a customer, but it's on the business side, the office side of things. But I got to know, in an arm wrestle, who would win, you or Stephen?
Great question. So let's see, Stephen.
Remembering he's out of town for 2 days. So.
He's out of town. Okay. So Stephen, let's see. First, his passion is cycling. So he cycles. Trains probably at least 5 days a week, hardcore. He does 50-mile races, 100-mile races, and so he's in terrific shape. Me, I'm a fanatic with sports, basketball, golf, tennis, and I work out during the week. That all being said, in an arm wrestle, I'm going to call it a draw.
Okay. All right. That's very diplomatic of you. So I could see an Indian leg wrestle, that we used to lay down and lock legs that the cyclist might have him, but I bet you've got him. So we just won't tell him. So Alkit really has kind of that family feel. And as people get to know you as customers, they kind of see that teamwork. I know Greg is a big part of your business there, and Stephanie is the email voice and a lot of times the phone voice when people call in. And I just want to give them a shout out that they've been great. They've helped us with a lot of things, and this whole thing is not just a love fest. We're going to get into some meat here in just a moment, but coming from where we come from in volume photography, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. But those of you that know me and kind of know our story, we've run into some challenges and we've had some different things. And as we've gone through having a lab closed down on us in the middle of the season and having another lab just kind of run into a delivery wall where we just couldn't get things back out the door, through that process, I think the thing that impressed me most, and this was really as you and I were just getting to know each other, I figuratively in my mind, I see you standing on the hill, David saying, "It's okay, I got you, I got this. Come." And being in New York, you know, I kind of envision that mama that says, come, you're too skinny. Come sit down. There's room at the table. Come on. And y'all invited us in, and you made room for 30 plus studios. Some of them weren't doing what they should be, but some of them were pretty decent volume, and you didn't miss a beat. We never had a delay. We never had a challenge. Our customers never knew anything was up. We placed this job order there, and we placed the next job order with Alkit, and it just flowed right through. And so obviously you were a partner with Got Photo, so that made our transition possible. But it's just one of those things that has always impressed me. Number one, the willingness to say, come on, I got you. And number two, the fact that you never dropped the ball. You know, those sticky gloves that the guys catch the football passes with, you know, you got some sticky gloves, and because you caught everything and just kept us going forward. How were you able to do that? You know, right in the middle, this was kind of right during the COVID storm and all the issues going on. How were you able to open up and take on what I know is a significant volume level without missing a beat?
Well, first, thank you for the most kind words about Alkit and what we do here. Kind of our philosophy. Well, first, I absolutely love what I do, and yes, I'm more. My role is working with I won't even call them clients. They're our friends. Pretty much everybody is a friend of ours, and that's kind of how I treat it. It's kind of, I just have a passion for people and making life easy and wonderful and terrific for them, and assisting them in running their business more profitably. So kind of just love what I do. In terms of during the pandemic, and when we helped out the 30 studios, we always are on the side of conservatism, meaning we have a mandate, and in terms of our turnaround, it's a 3-day turn, and we live and die by that. We don't ever miss deadlines. It's kind of what we do. How do we do it? What we do, we bring in more equipment than we need. We bring in more people than we need, because I will never be in a position where I can't handle the demand that we have. And then of course our people. We're only as good as the people that we have here. And you mentioned Greg and Stephanie, and I'll actually get a little emotional when I speak about them and our other staff from the bottom of my heart. They're the ones who really are responsible for what we do for the industry. You know, you're
the face of Alkit to those of us out at all the conferences, our boot camp, SPAC, imaging, wherever. You're the face of Alkit, but they're the body. You know, they sorry if I just whacked everybody in the microphone there, but they are the core, you know, that really gets it running and keeps it running every day.
I joke around. So Stephanie, she is just loved within the industry. She's the main person who speaks to our friends on the phone. You know, we have about 5 dedicated people in our customer support department. Stephanie is our number one. And she's a sweetheart. She's amazing at what she does. Nobody cares more than Stephanie. And, you know, I tell her what we want to accomplish, but it comes from her heart, and that's just who she is. And people love her. So we're just beyond fortunate.
She's a great person to have in that role. So many times the customer service people in any industry, not specifically photography, but in many industries, they're the grouchy people that belong in a cubicle with no windows and no people to be in front of them, because they, you know, and yet they're the people that are talking to customers, and it's not normally a fit. but with her, she's always very gracious. And you can tell that the Southerners call in. She's still from New York, and there's some jokes there, but she's always got the customer's best interest at heart, helping you serve your customer and making sure that you can do what you've committed to them. So,
and,
go ahead.
And then I was going to say, so Stephanie, we are eternally always grateful for everything that she does, for our company and for our friends. Greg, I joke around. Greg is much smarter than me. Thank goodness. Greg handles our technology and our software platforms and our efficiencies and automations. Just a brilliant young man. And again, us being a family business, Greg, Stephanie, Nadeem, who runs our lab, they're the closest thing to family. We actually consider them family because they treat our business like family. And again, we're just so grateful, for the people that we have.
So kind of staying on that thought of the lab, as you've obviously grown up literally with this lab and been part of the process there. What's been the biggest failure with the lab, and what was the greatest lesson that you learned from it? Because we always say that it's you don't fail unless you stop, right? It's just a lesson. You either win or you learn. And so what was your biggest, what you would consider maybe a failure or a challenge or an obstacle, whatever word you choose, and what lesson did you take away from it?
I thought long and hard about this terrific question, and I'm going to back up probably over 20 years ago and let you know that what my greatest failure was in business. It wasn't necessarily with our professional lab, because openly speaking, I can't think of a big failure that we've had, knock on wood, thank goodness, about our professional lab. I don't know. That being said, I'm an open book and I tell everybody exactly how it is. Our biggest failure was in the early 2000s. We had 6 locations. We're based in New York. We had 5 retail stores. These were camera stores. We offered photo finishing. And then we had a professional wholesale location and administrative offices. Back then, our retail stores were failing. 4 of our 5 retail stores were failing. We were losing quite a bit of money at all of the stores. Each month, we'd meet with our accountants. We'd see the red, the money that we're losing. We'd look to cut costs. How do we build our top line, build sales? And month after month, we kept working it and working it. And month after month, we kept losing money and losing money. We kept the stores open way longer than we should. Why? Because in my heart of heart, certainly believed in myself and our people. We're going to turn it around and I'm going to figure it out. And I kept going through more money and more money. The lesson learned was shut them down, focus on what you do best, and move on. So had I to do it over again, I'd have closed them so much earlier. It hurt so much, and then I got to focus on what we do best. So that was kind of the lesson learned. I find sometimes companies are doing all these different things, and they're not focusing on what they're doing best. So my recommendation is try to consider that, and put your energy to where you can earn the most amount of money.
I think that's an incredibly valuable lesson to learn, and we've all been in that situation. We've all, whatever analogy you want to use, you've all been the quarterback that fell back into the pocket and you just held onto the ball too long, and of course in the NFL you can just kind of and get rid of it. It's okay. But you knew there were feet coming at you and you just held on to it and then you got nailed. And so it's kind of that thing that in business, especially as photographers, we've held on to jobs, to companies, to schools or sports leagues or daycares or whatever it might be that we know weren't a good fit for us. We knew that they were taking a weekend or 2 weekends or whatever, however much time right out of the middle of the season, and we weren't getting the return. They were a pain in the butt to deal with. they were causing us grief, they were causing us frustration. And if we cut them, it would open up that window for more promising, friendly, bigger jobs that would give us a bigger return. So in the studio side, if you're sitting there thinking, well, that, I don't have retail locations, but you do have weeds in your garden. And we talked about that a few months ago on a Friday Live, that you've got to go through and you got to pull those weeds. And David, I know that our personality, our persona, our identity is so often wrapped up in the business that we have. I mean, I'm Mr. Systems, and this is me. And to lose that would crush that identity. So I know that was a hard decision to have to do, but it opened up your everything to be able to really focus on the volume photographers or the other photographers at that time, and then the volume photographers, and become who you are today. Yes. So that's awesome. And I think that's a great lesson for people to take away. When we talk about volume photographers, you talked that I think 18 years ago you switched to start working on volume photography. What do you consider volume photography? Is it I have a 250 kid school that I photograph once a year, or is it I have 4,000 students a month? And kind of where do you all feel that the benefits of a volume lab kick in for a studio?
So the way we treat it within our company, if you shoot one school or one league with 250 kids, or if you do 40,000 subjects per month, per year, whatever it is, and we have all clients from one school to thousands of schools, we consider it all volume. And we have software platforms that we recommend to our friends based on if you're shooting a school, a dance, a league, 1, 10, 50, or 100, or 1,000. All falls within volume.
Okay, cool. That also is a diplomatic answer, but I think there's truth in there that for someone that like a lot of the studios that we work with in our accelerator program, we have a 90-day and a 180-day accelerator programs where there's one-on-one coaching, and we sit down and we kind of go through everything once a week. And as we look at those volume levels, we see a lot of different levels, but that one studio that's been a portrait studio and they suddenly want to do more volume and they get this 300 kid elementary school, it's just as much of a freak out moment as someone that's doing lots of sports leagues and they're out there doing 2 or 3 leagues a week during the season. In their mind, it's just as critical, and it's just a I don't know what I don't know kind of moment. So that's awesome to be able to take care of both. So in the world, we know that kind of our most recent watershed moment has been not just the advent of digital cameras, but it's been COVID, and it is what it is. No politics involved. The fact is the world shut down for several months. Some of it opened up a little quicker than others, or other parts. And, now I think most of the world has really kind of gotten back to normal, or maybe even a little better. But we use that as kind of that precipitous moment of where things changed. As people have gone back up, and you talk to a lot of the studios that are your customers, your family, what have you seen as far as changes after COVID? Any product shifts, any big changes, the way things work? And then, is there anything that maybe didn't survive COVID?
Sure. So first, COVID is still affecting our lab today in the way we do things, meaning we still have our people taking their temperature when they come to our lab. A big fear is obviously if the numbers of people who have COVID rise, and they seem to continue to be rising, that could affect our associates. And
Yeah.
so we're very trying to take all the proper measures to keep everybody safe and still try to social distance, take temperatures, and just be very aware of that. We've seen most of our clients now reach their where their sales were pre-COVID and be actually well ahead of where they were. So I think that people in general and photographers in our industry are extremely resilient and have made very positive changes to improve their business. In terms of a change that we made during COVID to kind of help out photographers, and it had to do with composites and virtual groups. So the fact that the virtual groups was just a new product since when photographers were photographing, couldn't have everybody right next to each other. So we offered that those virtual groups, and we think that was very successful for the industry, and other lab.
Of course, we've done them since 2011, so we felt, hey, this is the future. This is the way it's going, and it kind of took COVID to take its finger and put it in the middle of their back and shove them off that cliff in a lot of places around the country. And obviously there is a sense of being together as a group and that kind of thing. And for schools, okay, you're still going to have people that miss, and usually it's the teacher because they're at an in-service on picture day. But with leagues and that kind of thing, it's just so much of a challenge to get them all there at the right time. And you got people that are early, people that are late. And so whether it's classroom groups or sports groups, we've just found that it's so much easier. And we've seen the technology kind of catch up to make it look much more realistic and authentic. So I did see, when y'all started offering that, and of course there's so many options for photographers now, there really shouldn't be any level of fear out there. It's there. One of the things that I say an awful lot is there's a bunch of goobers that do it out there today in the world. So if they can do it, you can do it. No big deal. And so if you haven't been brave enough to try that, talk to David and the team and let them help you get through that.
And also, again, one change that we've seen that has really accelerated was our direct-to-home shipments. So even before COVID, we saw an acceleration from the batch shipment, shipping a larger job either to the photographer's studio or directly to the school or league. And we saw an acceleration to the direct-to-home shipments. Then when the pandemic occurred, many of the schools said you cannot have the orders sent to the school. You must do a direct-to-home shipment. And some of the leagues said the same thing. So then from the pandemic on, there's been a very rapid acceleration, and we actually think that's been a real plus for the industry. I think it's just more automated. The schools like it, so I think that's been a plus.
It's so. I mean, I've probably had one or two Alkit orders come through while we've been on the call here, and it just comes in and goes there and goes out, and and I get an invoice from Stephen that says, hey, this is paid, and it's all done and handled, and it really is super smooth. And I know there's always a fear that well, they're not going to want to pay for shipping, and I don't want to eat that shipping. Well, quite honestly, I've had one person ask about shipping, and that was a teen mom that was an expressive personality, and she was no longer going to get to pass out the pictures and get the attention off of that. So it's really literally thousands and thousands of mail to homes. No parent has ever balked at shipping. To us, it's $5.25 straight through, got photo. And if it's something bigger like a mug or something, then it knows that based on what y'all have in the system, and so it charges appropriately. But it's just not an issue. So, all right. Okay. So looking forward now, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing our industry, first of all, going forward into 2024, what do you see as being the big beast on the hill?
Okay. So before I answer the question, what the biggest challenge that I see is, I'll speak more of what I see in terms of opportunity, because we see far more opportunities than we do challenges.
Yeah, good.
With the opportunities, the online platforms. I think the online platforms have just come such a long way so quickly.
That's
I think
true.
it was more like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The platforms out there, they were just kind of glitchy. They weren't working well. And anyway, you fast forward 4 or 5 years later, and we have countless friends of ours who report that their sales have doubled and they attribute the majority of that success to the online platforms. So there's not one online platform that works perfectly. Everything has its everyone has its pros and cons. But all in all, in my opinion, the platforms are working extremely well, resulting in the studios making significantly more money, operating much more efficiently. Again, within these software
with so much less handling and dealing with stuff, you know, with forms and packaging and all the different stuff. You just don't always value that time that you get back.
Absolutely. So again, with the email marketing and text marketing, many platforms are offering free digital files. You only pay a commission on the sales that you make. I just think it's amazing, you know, for the industry. And then just the camera equipment is working so well that just helps out the entire industry. And then Facebook volume groups is just an incredible. So again, in terms of opportunity for the ones who are taking advantage of that, just the Facebook volume groups I find is an incredible resource for people just to gather information, have I guess have their questions answered in the most timely manner. So that's just, again, represents an amazing opportunity to people
and hopefully in a positive way. We try to always make sure in all of our groups that they're answering positively and in a supportive way and not being snarky. So you find the right groups that that give you that positive support. Because as a general rule, I think photographers are very willing to share information. And for a lot of people, even if you're a competitor, you know, if you're air quotes a competitor nearby, you still find them helping people out online.
Yes. So, cool. Now, in terms of challenges, I guess the number one challenge for our lab, and I would think for our friends, is going to be technology advancing so incredibly fast, faster than ever before, at warp speed, and kind of, you know, as a lab, we always want to stay ahead of the curve as best we can. And it's a challenge. Things are changing, you know, daily, and it costs money. But, you know, obviously now the big buzzword is AI, artificial intelligence, and the impact that that's going to have, already having on our world, on our industry. It's scary, yet it's exciting. And I don't know which is more, probably a bit more scary, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities that come from that, and we're all going to learn together. And how do we, as an industry, you know, come together and stay ahead of the curve together? We all learn from each other. The online Facebook groups are, as we just spoke about, so important. And then the your online workshops are just vital to the industry. Thank you for everything that you do. I'm most appreciative. And then all the wonderful conventions that our industry provides. There are just so many. And again, my recommendation is to attend as many as you can. Information is power. The more that you could attend these conventions,
even if you've done this for a long time, I promise you'll pick up something, a side comment or some class that you didn't really intend on going into. You'll walk away with an epiphany that well, hey, I can do that, or I can change it to me, or I can do something. You'll make a connection there, not just the networking, but you'll get something in those classes.
For sure. I mean, each time I attend all the major ones, and I continue to be amazed at how much I learn each time by attending. And then again, you just touched on, the networking. That's probably the most important part. Arguably could be the most important part, just speaking to fellow photographers. And I'm amazed at how so many photographers, the majority, are just so forthcoming with providing information and how to help out each other. And we're all in it together. It's all going to benefit us.
Yeah, cool. Well, looking at kind of staying in that vein of looking forward, what's your ultimate goal for Alkit? If you and Steven said, if we reach this, then we're there. And it doesn't have to be like a sales volume or anything, but in y'all's conversation, and y'all's is a technical Southern term, what is it that yes, we made it?
So myself and my brother and partner Steven, we are not driven by the dollar. That's never been our main motivation. Making money, obviously we want to make money. That's not our main motivation. It's really we've been our family business has been doing this for 87 years now. So it's continuing the legacy, continue making our friends so happy and helping them in their business. I mean, every day just makes me so happy to be able to help out and help them run their business, more profitably. So what we do, making our 3-day turn every day, provide the most gorgeous quality prints. We provide individual color corrections. We take incredible pride in doing that. We adjust every file for color, contrast, density, and saturation. We kind of took that philosophy when we were doing started in the wedding bar mitzvah portrait world and brought that philosophy to the volume world. Some labs do no color correction, some do a batch correction. And again, whatever works for every studio it's fine. Our philosophy is to, what we believe, provide the very finest quality. And so our goal is to continue doing that, and God willing, pass our business down to my son and Steven's son, and then down
not your daughter.
My daughter Alexa, she's in the PR field, and she loves what she does. And we had our whole family in this weekend helping out. All hands on deck during busy season. I think she's going to continue doing PR.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough. Yeah.
But you
have great kids, but and I mean, just overall family. They're a lot of fun, and if you have seen them, if anyone out here has kind of seen David, because he's got a lot of Facebook friends. So if you've kind of seen everybody grow up, they have a lot of fun out there in the world. So let's kind of switch gears here, and let's talk about the photography studio itself. Because again, you talk to so many different studios at the conferences. If I were a photographer with, say, less than 5,000 students a year, what advice would you give me from working with a lot of really successful volume studios that might help me ramp up my volume as quickly as I can?
Okay. So first, when we speak to a photographer and if they're just starting out or looking to build their business, we will want to learn as much as we can about each individual photographer and the company, so we can best give the finest recommendation. And regarding the platform, there are many platforms out there. They really all do a terrific job. It's just a matter of really what you're looking to accomplish.
Which one fits?
Which one fits? How much you want to spend? And we'll kind of recommend a platform to meet the needs of our clients. All the platforms, there's free trials, so we recommend try it. Even if there's a photographer who, say, hasn't migrated to an online platform, if they're doing still paper forms, my recommendation is not necessarily during the busy fall season, but right after the fall season, do a demo with some of our software partners. Maybe Got Photo, Photolink Pro, Blueprint,
I I did not just turn his volume down when he said those other names. Your volume, you said got photo, and then the volume just dropped. But I did not do that. My hands are here. So, in all fairness, say that sentence again. It might be, and then say that again, and maybe the audio will hang on.
So there's many different platforms out there, and but what we'll recommend, try the platform, see what might be best, for that individual studio.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any, maybe one or two phrases of warning that you have definitely seen, either not necessarily new studios, but people changing from portrait work, or I've been a sports photographer and I'm starting to do schools? Those are the kind of conversations that we hear a lot. Are there any warnings that you've seen other studios run into that you might pass on?
Let's see. Well, some challenges that we run into regularly with some of our friends is receiving incorrect or inconsistent data. And that kind of slows things down, quite a bit. So, such as like putting teachers into grade field, or inconsistently formatting data. So obviously, everything needs to be consistent. Yeah. Then regarding formatting, we recommend everything should be formatted, 4x5. And then I guess for 5x7.
And that conversation has come back up this week in Facebook. So I know at one point it was the 2:3, it was kind of the norm, and we're going to chop off the top and bottom. And we, as Portrait Effects, we were always a 4:5 ratio, so we knew we'd lose the edges. Right. But we are seeing more and more 4:5 ratios kind of being the standard, and losing the edges rather than ever losing someone's hair off the top of. I think that's what happened. I got cropped in the wrong place.
Mine's gotten gray. So.
Oh yeah. So anyway, go ahead. What other words of warning or thoughts?
Well, and then in terms of I guess photographers and companies growing their business, prospecting. We just recommend, you can never do enough of that. It's, for me, it's kind of what I love to do. I'm as you know, I'm the relationship person, the people person. I can speak to people all day long, and all I want to do is help and make things easy for them. And when I see them smiling, and nothing makes me happier. So anyway, for the photographers growing their business, many times it's often known that photographers may be creative, terrific photographers. On the business side, there might be some challenges there that might not be in their wheelhouse. So again, prospecting and selling, you can't do enough of that. And if a photographer has, a certain amount of business and they're kind of at that level, and that's, where they're comfortable at, sometimes they stop selling and they're at that level. My recommendation is, and kind of our philosophy is, either grow or die. And if you have a level of business, you're going to lose accounts. It just happens. And just kind of continue chugging along, and because you don't want any surprises that you lose a couple of leads, schools.
Yeah, and that always hurts. It is personal, and you may say, well, it's just business. No, it's not. It's again, for so many independent photographers, the identity is wrapped up in the company, and it hurts if they broke up with you. Now, if they're a weed and you've chosen to pull them out of the garden, still kind of hurts, but definitely if it comes the other way, it's frustrating. So if you just mentioned something about grow or die kind of thing. If a studio had 10x today, they had 10x the budget that they have today, what would you give advice that might be the best avenue for them to invest in, to grow through? Would it be staff, equipment? What, in your experience, I suddenly have 10 times whatever budget it is, if you're small, it's 10x small. If you're big, it's 10x big. Where do you see that needing to go?
My advice, my recommendation would be low overhead wins the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We, again, back over 20 years ago, we learned the hard way when we had a whole bunch of stores. I went to college and I learned about there being different departments and delegating. Every department does their own thing. And well, we built up our business and the sales were at a very high point. Well, that's terrific. But what wasn't so terrific is that we were losing money. So even though the sales were so high, we had all these different departments, all department heads and people reporting to one another. We weren't being successful. So 20 years later, we moved our facility to a low overhead area. And I recommend low overhead, be as lean as can be, sell, and, know your business, bring in the right platform, bring in the right people. And if you do all that, you're going to have a very successful company.
Because you never know when something, I don't know, like a killer virus might show up out of the blue, right? Or power outages. I know the Northeast, it went through some of those. We had that. They call it Snowmageddon, I think is what they call it here around Dallas. A few years ago, we had the temperatures that the North has, but our infrastructure wasn't accustomed to it. And so we shut down and went several days with no power. And so you never know what's going to happen. But to your point, the landlords still want the rent and the lights are still on in some, and so there are bills that keep coming in. And so I think that's excellent advice to take care of overhead, do what you need to do, invest it so that overhead drops on the daily overhead drops, and then you can reap more benefits because you don't have to have that hanging over your head. I think that's great.
And then once you're running a successful business, again, we've learned the hard way, and we had years, a long time ago where, we were running a very successful company, earning a nice amount of money. And as quickly as we were earning a whole lot of money, we were losing a whole lot of money. So we've been all around the block. So now that, business is good for our lab and very good for the industry, I made myself a promise. I will never, ever, ever be complacent, no matter how however good business might be. I will never, ever be complacent, because as quick as business might have improved, quicker business can go the other way and get worse. So never, ever take things for granted.
Yeah. So when you're done filling in the hole, keep building a pile of money dirt, so that if something happens, you've got some reserves there. So that's good to do.
Yes.
So kind of as we start to wrap up here, what do you think the top online tool or resource is for people that are wanting to add or wanting to grow a volume side to their business?
I would say online. It would be the online forums. There's probably 6 or 7 top ones that I'll spend time on. It just helps me staying abreast of everything going on in the industry. I have a good pulse of what's going on in the industry with our clients, other partners, platforms. So, and then as we spoke about before, attending those conventions and workshops as well.
Cool. I do want to take that moment, and there are several, and I'm there every morning. I wake my son's up at 5:30, and my runner goes off to school. My band kid grumps around for an hour because he's not the morning person. But I take that morning and I go through and try to answer a lot of things. And so I see a lot of those challenges. I hear the conversations and try to be a voice of support to people. But there are some really good groups out there. Each of your platforms, whoever it is, whether it's, Got Photo or Photo Day or Photo Merchant, whoever, everybody has a user group. So be in there, understand that they're all going to have gripes and challenges, because that's the forum. That's what it's for. No matter which one of those groups you're in, you're gonna see some frustrations, and just know that that's part of it. We would always love to have you over at Volume Photo Academy. It's just an open group. You need to ask to join, and that just keeps the spammers from overseas out from trying to sell you clipping path services and that kind of stuff. And so, but beyond that, you're welcome to come in, and we'd love to have you over there. So, all right. So as we kind of gone through everything here, is there one question that maybe I didn't ask you, but you wish that I had? And if there is, kind of what's your answer?
Yes. Which brother do you think is the more handsome of the two?
Okay, and that's
You don't have
safe
to
because
answer that.
he's still out of town for a couple of days. So yep, all right. So cool. Well, you didn't answer it. Yeah, what's the answer?
The answer is it's a draw.
Oh, okay, all right. So
I'll let you off the hook.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, if we're arm wrestling to a draw and handsomeness to a draw, who's oldest?
So my brother Steven is older by 4 years.
Yeah. So
and he beat up on me pretty good growing up.
That means that means that you get all the privileges now, because the first child, yeah, that's the rule follower, but the second child is always the one with the scotch and the cigar, like, hey, where's the party? Right? So
Yes.
So that's it. All right. Well, David, I really appreciate, I mean, obviously, like I said, we've known each other for a long time, and I've always enjoyed getting together with you when we can in person. And certainly we talk quite a bit electronically. But what's you know, as we work through here, if someone's looking for a really supportive family mentality lab, and I don't say family in the sense that it's small, but in that, hey, you're part of our family, we got you, we can take care of this, and the capabilities comparable with any other volume lab out there, and I know from experience that the capabilities are there. So if you watching this are wanting to connect and get lab issues off of your plate, David, what's the best way for them to connect with Alkit?
So I would recommend to have anyone contact me directly, and I'd look forward to speaking to anybody and understanding, you know, about their business, about them. And I always say I'm available 24/7, and I am for all of her friends. My wife doesn't love when I say that, but it's kind of what I do and what she's grown accustomed to. And it's kind of what I do. So I'm literally available 24/7. I speak to our friends at all hours, Saturday, Sunday. It doesn't matter. Makes me happy, and just have everybody contact me.
Well, we know that too many photographers are sitting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, trying to get their orders to work and whatever. So yeah, we run odd hours. We're up at 4, heading off to a school an hour away, and so yeah, our industry is not known for its 8.5, 9 hours of sleep a night. So
no, sir.
All right. Well, I will make sure that your contact information is here, and it kind of depends where you're watching this. If you're on YouTube, you'll see it in the description. If it's just in Systems for Volume Photographers, it'll be in the article. And if this is within our School Photography A to Z course, then you'll have it. There's a whole section over in the sponsor area. There's a whole page for Alkit and lots of information that you can get over there. So
wonderful, Mitchell.
Thank you so much.
I can't thank you enough for having me. And again, you are truly the greatest. Thank you for all you do for our industry. I mean that.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I will send you my $50 for that here in just a moment. So, but thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Be well.
Right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.